day a hero named Mariner Ben says, dark and we love to play. Video games is will keep playing until the early morning. Dark and we explain Monty games is deep. Dark and we sell my games and more. As Mariner set off on his quest, he knew he needed a crew. The navigator joined the ranks and so did Mr. Q. Sailing for adventure, stories and for treasure. We will help you through, so climb aboard and join the crew. Deep dark gaming, we love to play. Video games will keep playing until the early morning. Deep dark gaming, we explain Monty games. Deep dark gaming, we sell the games and more.
Ahoy, divers, and welcome back to Deep Dive Gaming. I am the Mariner, joined by Hiro. Ahoy, Hiro.
Hello.
Tear
How
and
you
Death.
doing?
I do well. How you doing?
Yeah, Fear and Death will be here soon.
Yes, Tear and Death will be here soon, but we are going to discuss Final Fantasy IX. And I double checked. This is not the remake playthrough.
Not the remaster playthrough, gotcha.
Hopefully not the remaster playthrough, unless the title is lying to me. But I don't think so, given those graphic levels. We're almost
yeah,
to.
does not look.
It's also a 4x3 format. Any update would be 16:9. So I think we're good. We're almost to Final Fantasy X levels here. I know because I'm playing Final Fantasy X right now in my private time. So yes, ahoy Twitch, ahoy YouTube, ahoy Rumble, ahoy Mojo, and ahoy Mariner Kitty, should she wake up. We are talking about Final Fantasy IX today. So, who wants to start?
I'll yield to you first.
Okie dokie. Let me know when. Whoops. There we go. Let me know when Tear and Death pops in, because if I go over to Discord to see if he's in, I lose the YouTube.
Right.
Okay. Reading from the fandom. Final Fantasy IX is the 9th, you think, main installment of the Final Fantasy series developed and published by Squaresoft. Released in July of 2000 for the PlayStation. PlayStation version of the game was later re-released digitally. Moving on from that, we'll talk about the re-releases later.
There's Tear and Death.
There's Tear and Death. Ahoy, Tear and Death.
Ahoy.
How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'd be better if, it was a little warmer here.
Same.
You're in the wrong state for that, sir.
Well, there's no hurricanes, there's no earthquakes.
No wildfires. Gotta have something. Right?
If you say so.
We love it here. That was supposed to be wind. It was supposed to be blizzard.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it's okay. The Mother Nature's just been flipping the bird to everybody today. So
not just today.
Fair enough. For the first time in 30 years, we have snow in my location.
Yes, and I'm having no lack of fun making fun of Florida for this.
Oh yeah.
Actually making fun of the people of Florida for this.
Yeah. And I kind of laughing at them too, but then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm just going to stay off the roads because y'all people can't handle this.
It's like just a little bit of snow on the ground and people can't park in parking lots, people can't drive, people can't use their turn signals. Oh, no, wait, that's every day.
I'm pretty sure that it's safer on the roads than the sidewalks at this point.
Yeah, but no
You
one's
could
out
say
on the
that-
sidewalks because
You
it's
could say
snowing
that
in
about the
Florida.
North. Ah, yes.
Anyway, shall we get on to the topic at hand?
Yeah, fair enough. Usually we're drowning at this point or covered in a sheet of ice. Thank you, Mojo, for that moment of laughter. And you are 100% correct. Just because I can drive in the snow doesn't mean everyone else can.
Let's see, where did we leave off? Oh, yes, taking place on planet Gaia. The story follows a thief named Zidane, or Zidane, tribal.
It's Zidane.
Zidane?
Pretty sure it's the name.
It's Zidane.
Zidane, okay. Zidane tribal, a member of a thief troop who is tasked to kidnap the princess of Alexandria, Garnet till Alexandros the 17th. He teams up with her and a team of allies to stop Queen Bran and her ally Kuja from waging war with an army of black mages. Final Fantasy IX is the game in the main series to feature, or the last game in the main series to feature the active time battle pseudo turn-based menu command system. Wow, that's a mouthful. Which was in use since Final Fantasy IV. Players control of up to 8 characters in a party of 4. Each character has access to 2 command abilities, of which at least one is a skill set that grants them access to a more extensive range of abilities. Abilities are unlocked by equipping certain weapons, armor, and add-ons that grant abilities as AP is earned. Additionally, each character can use a unique trance state after taking damage that enhances their abilities. Aside from combat, the game features several different mini-games and side quests, the most notable being Chocobo Hot and Cold and the Tetramaster card game. Let's see, turned out slightly louder than Hiro, but everyone sounds like they're whispering compared to Manor. Oh, see if I can turn up those guys, because I did turn the desktop audio down a couple weeks ago
That would
because
be
of things. Yeah. We had some extra loud gameplay or something along those lines, so I had to turn it down and forgot to turn it back up.
That would do it.
Yep. Might have even been Final Fantasy VII that was that, because I would have turned it up way before now if it were not that. Okay, so levels are much better. Thank you, Mojo, for letting us know. Let's see. Final Fantasy IX was unveiled alongside the PlayStation 2 games Final Fantasy X and XI at the Square Millennium event in 2000. The decision to reveal all 3 titles at once stemmed from what each game represented for the series, as 9 harkened back to classic conventions of the series' prior entries, while 10 represented a franchise evolution in time for the next generation of consoles, and 11 deviated from the expectations as the series' first online multiplayer-centric entry. Oh dear.
Yeah, and that was actually apparently it did really well at first, and then it, like, a lot of people that I've talked to, they straight up said that 11 almost completely bankrupts Square Enix.
Is it because they were competing with WoW? Because I think WoW was about the same
honestly,
time that, or WoW was hitting its peak about the 2000s too, wasn't it?
it was starting. It was just starting. Well, let me double check, because I remember I played WoW. Well, I played WoW for a very long time, so it's not even really fair. Yeah, it didn't have. Yeah, Mojo even says it didn't have anything to do with WoW.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because I know about WoW, but I didn't know about Final Fantasy 11.
It was just, it was that bad of a system.
Ooh.
Required you to have, that when they released it on PS2, you had to buy a $100 plus pack, which included the hard drive for the PS2.
Got it.
Yep. World of Warcraft came out in 2004,
Oh, okay.
and Final Fantasy 11 came out in 2002.
Okay. Yep.
We've kind of strayed again.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit, but when we're talking about release dates, it's relevant. I will say that yeah, I just heard that Final Fantasy 11 was really super popular for a couple of couple of months, and then it like I said, almost tanked Square Enix.
Right. Okay.
Or is it?
So, last thing on here I want to mention on Final Fantasy IX is it is one of the most critically acclaimed games in the series, achieving the highest Metacritic score of 94.
Oh,
Ooh, that's, yeah.
that is actually impressive.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about the gameplay there, Hiro?
Okay, I will jump down into the gameplay here. In Final Fantasy IX, the player navigates a character through the game world, exploring areas and interacting with non-player characters. Sounds like any other RPG. Most of the game occurs on field screens consisting of pre-rendered backgrounds representing towns and dungeons. To aid in exploration in the field, Final Fantasy IX introduces the field icon, an exclamation mark appearing over the lead character's head, indicating a point of interest. Players speak with Moogles to record their progress, recover their energy, and purchase items. An extensive optional quest involves sending and receiving letters from Moogles and other non-playable characters via the Mogul, an in-game postal service. That's adorable. Players journey between field screen locations on the world map, a three-dimensional representation of Final Fantasy IX's world presented from a top-down perspective. Players can freely navigate around the world map unless restricted by obstacles such as bodies of water, mountain ranges, etc. To traverse these impediments, players can ride the chocobos. So just like in every other Final Fantasy, the chocobos are there as a means to traverse the environmental obstacles. Anyways, jumping away from that, let's go down to the combat stuff. Yeah, correct. We'll get down to Final Fantasy XI eventually. But when the player encounters an enemy, the map changes to a battle screen. The player issues commands to characters from an on-screen menu in the battle screen, including physically attacking, using items, and unique character-specific abilities, magic, yada yada yada. Depends on their role in the battle. For example, Zidane, being a thief, can steal items. Aiko and Garnet can summon Eidolons, which are the summons in 9. And Vivi can use black magic to damage the opposition. Excuse me, hiccup, the opposition. The speed and order in which the commands. I'm sorry. I lost my spot. The speed and order in which the characters and enemies take their turn varies according to their agility. Implementation of the ATB system, first featured in Final Fantasy IV, is what they use. I kind of botched that sentence. I apologize. Character-specific commands change when the character goes into trance mode, which is activated for a short duration when the character sustains a specified amount of damage, similar to limit breaks in 7. Trance mode amplifies the character's strength and allows the player to select more powerful attack commands. For example, Vivi's Black Magic command changes to double black, allowing him to cast 2 magic spells at once. Of course, winning battles gives you money, items, experience, and ability points. Experience points determine the combat attributes like agility, strength, and magical power. Accumulating sufficient experience points will result in a level up, which permanently increases the combat attributes. So it's about the same as any other RPG, just slightly altered in its approach. Not by much, though. Yeah, that's about enough on the gameplay. Would anybody else like to commentate, like maybe address the plot or the story?
I guess I will.
I don't know much about this one at all, actually.
To tell you the truth, here in Death, we're both kind of going over the fandom page and the Wikipedia page on it to just kind of illuminate fill in the gaps that we don't have experience with. So if you're at a computer, you can do that, should you choose.
We could do. Let's see. I could go into some of the character classes, character/character classes.
Sure.
Zidane wields daggers as his primary weapons and possesses thief abilities. Vivi is his black mage wielding staves. Dagger excels as a white mage in the early game, but later gains access to a greater amount of eidolons than her summoner counterspot Eiko. Steiner is a knight. Freya wields spears and uses abilities such as jump and lancer, trademarks of the dragoon job. Quinn is a blue mage, learning blue magic by devouring monsters. Nom nom. Eiko has access to fewer eidolons than Dagger, but larger repertoire of white magic. In Trance, she uses double white, allowing her to dual cast white magic spells. Amaranth has a high HP stat, uses hand-to-hand claw weapons to teach him the counter ability, and possesses chakra and aura skills. Trademarks of the monk job. Beatrix uses most of the same offensive sword arts as Steiner, except Darkside. Instead, she has access to many of the strongest white magic spells, aligning her with the paladin job. Okay, and then is that Magnet?
Magnet?
Yeah, the postal system operated by Mughals. Magnet.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Inhabited most of the known world. When the player talks to a Mughal, they can often save the game, restore life energy via tents, or purchase items in Mog Shop. The Mughals appear in a small form in Final Fantasy X. I'm not reading this part. I know from playing. Lulu carries around a pet Mughal that looks like she's carrying around a teddy bear or something, and then she puts it down and walks over and smacks the bad guy.
Yeah, it's a voodoo doll actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a voodoo doll version of a Moogle. Actually, Moogles are they are common, just like chocobos, across all the Final Fantasies, just about.
Okay, because I think this is the first time we've heard mention of Moogles.
Their role varies based on. Their role varies based on based on what game you're playing. Like, Moogles exist in Final Fantasy VII, but they're kind of they're more of not a chance encounter, but they're a hidden encounter where you just come across them and you complete small tasks for them in order to gain special items and gain access to their shop, and they have their own currency that you use with them in 7. In 16, there's only one Moogle that you encounter in the whole world, and that Moogle gives you hunting missions where you are tracking down unique and challenging encounters and bosses in order to gain reputation, money, and special rewards. They do a lot of different things across the series, but they're really, it's not very common for them to be the same from game to game in what they do. And Mojo says, according to the wikis, Boogles first appeared in 3. I was gonna say 3, but I wasn't sure if it was 3 or 4.
Gotcha. There's also mini games and side quests. The two main side quests that span a lot of the game: the Tetra Master card game that can be played with almost any PC, and Chocobo Hot and Cold. The player can obtain their first Tetra Master deck and tutorial on how to play at the start of the game, and then keep challenging NPCs. New cards are also obtained as drops from enemies. Player must go out of their way to obtain the rarest cards if they want to complete their deck. I think that's probably one of the reasons why this game is so acclaimed, was because it's got a card game. It's got a TCG in it. Gamers love their TCGs. See,
Don't they though?
yeah. Chocobo Hot and Cold can be played once the player meets with the Choco in Chocobo's forest. There are different venues where the player can play the minigame to have Choco dig up random treasures and chocographs. I'm about to choke on all these chocos, or choco names. Let's see, chocographs that can be used to unearth treasures on the world map. By discovering more chocographs, the player can level up their chocobo to reach new areas with even better treasures. Many of the game's ultimate equipment can only be obtained from these treasures. Other mini games include frog catching, foot race game, yep, lots of things. Synopsis. The world of Gaia. Yes, the world of Gaia is divided into 4 continents. The most populated being the Mist continent. Most of the sentient races have settled above the mist that covers the bottom of the continent. Mist, its origins unknown, is a noxious gas that mutates flora and fauna alike into monsters and hardens the hearts of men, inciting strife among them. As sunlight penetrates the mist poorly, the continent's surface is left in perpetual shadow where monsters lurk. Thus, most elect to live on the plateaus above the mist and cross the land in mist-powered airships rather than on foot. Mist Continent has 4 major kingdoms: Alexandria, reigned by Queen Bran, or Brane, the industrious Lindblom, governed by Regent Sid, there's that name again, the nation of the Dragon Knights, Burmecia, reigned by the King of Burmecia, no name given, and the mysterious Clara, hidden inside a perpetual sandstorm. Lindblom is the most technologically advanced nation and the inventor of mist-powered airships that halted the wars that had plagued the continent for centuries. Though shrouded in mist and thus full of ferocious monsters, Mist Continent is the lushest continent on Gaia, the others being barren. The other continents are rarely traveled to, as they are free of mist and thus out of reach of airships. Outer Continent is an arid wasteland to the north, connected to the Mist Continent by the fossil Roo. However, only the dwarves are known to live there. Lost Continent to the northwest is almost entirely covered in ice, but houses the volcanic Mount Gulag, and the religion Gulag, and the religious center of Esto Gaza that reveres the legend of the shimmering island off the coast of the continent. Finally, the Forgotten Continent is an immense landmass in the west, where the sun sets with mysterious ruins scattering its landscape.
This sequence is early DDR.
I haven't been watching it, but I'm reading.
In the sequence, it's literally you push the buttons that your buddy says, and you hit the A and the B to attack different angles, and then, well, if you watch, this is literally it. See?
It's like a fencing instructor.
That's
Parry, parry,
exactly what it
thrust,
is.
parry,
It's
thrust. God.
I don't know if this is true for all of the Final Fantasies, but this seems to be a recurring theme that I've noticed where the main characters have to do something to do with theater or being on stage with something. In this sequence, Zidane and his buddy Blank here are performing. They basically crashed a theater show and they're pretending to be a part of it while their buddies get in position to hide somewhere or to get in position to kidnap the princess. Get showered with 100,000 guilt. Jesus. But
That would hurt.
yeah.
So,
Anyways,
okay, went over the characters a bit already.
yeah.
Let's see. I didn't talk about their character. See, Zidane is already mentioned as a thief. Vivi is a black mage, pure of heart. Garnet Tel Alexandros the 17th, the sheltered princess of Alexandria, is naive to the ways of the world and burdened by the knowledge that she must one day ascend the throne. Adalbert Steiner, noble knight of Alexandria and the captain of the Knights of Pluto. Severe to his enemies, but eternally loyal to his friends. Freya Crescent, a Burmesian dragon knight who searches for her lost love, Sir Fatley. Oh, Sir Fatley, I looked for the Quena Quan, a Q, or Qua, or Q, Q-U, however you want to pronounce that. Q.
I'll call it a Q.
Q and an apprentice, Garmond, who joins the adventure to experience cuisine from around the world. Aiko Carol, young summoner, who's the last one of her tribe. Amaranth Coral, wanted bandit who accompanies Zidane to discover what makes him powerful. Okay. The next on my page is the spoiler-riddled story.
Yeah, the story. I don't know if anybody is going to worry about spoilers from a game that's over 20 years old. I could jump in here if you'd like.
Yeah.
Or Tear Death. Did we lose Tear Death?
No, sorry. Well, yes and no. I kind of spaced out. Sorry.
What I'm saying is you could read from the wiki as well if you'd like.
Like I said, I spaced out. I have no idea where we are at the moment.
Fine. I'm looking at the story on the Wikipedia for Final Fantasy IX.
We usually skip the in-depth story though because of spoilers, and usually they're really long.
Yeah, this one's not actually terribly long compared to the others we've come across.
Yeah.
I'll go to develop.
Yeah,
just
I was
for the
gonna
sake
say.
of,
Yeah.
just for the sake of respecting what you are saying here. Early planning for Final Fantasy IX, almost said name, wow, began in 1998 before Square had finished development with 8. The game was developed in Hawaii as a compromise to developers living in the United States. As the series' last game on the PlayStation, Sakaguchi envisioned a reflection on the older games of the series, leading up to the release. Leading up to its release, Sakaguchi called Final Fantasy IX his favorite Final Fantasy game, as it was closest to his ideal view of what Final Fantasy should be. This shift was also a response to demands from fans and other developers. Additionally, the team wanted to create a coherent story with deep character development. This led to the creation of active time events, which, showcase the character's individual exploration away from the protagonist. Sakaguchi wrote the scenario for the game with further contributions from Kazuhiko Aoki. I am terrible with these names, I'm sorry. And Nobuaki Komodo. And I will, yeah. I'll drop off here for somebody else to pick up, like Karen Death.
Like I said, keep going because I'm lost. I've got a massive headache.
Okay.
I was reading along, but I had lost track of where you were.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been one of those days. I'm
I'll
sorry.
read the fandom. I'll read the fandom entry on the development because it does go a little bit different in a different direction than what Hiro read from the wiki.
Okay. I mean, I
Let's
only
see.
read the very first paragraph of the development of 3. So.
Hironobu Sakaguchi wanted Final Fantasy IX to be different from its PlayStation era predecessors and go back to the action movie-like fantasy of the Nintendo era installments. He provided the plots and ideas for character designs at an early stage. The main theme of the game became living, and Sakaguchi wanted a world that would have a lived-in feel all the way down to textures of clothes and how the pieces characters would wear were sewn together. Part of the inspiration for the game's world design was the movie The Dark Crystal, a 1982 high fantasy adventure film. When Final Fantasy IX ended up becoming a very fairy tale like, the team wanted to create a world that a child may dream up.
Dark
Makes
Crystal. That's a hell of a reference right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. That's a Jim Henson right there.
Exactly. Anyways.
That's a Jim Henson and I think still ILM.
Anyways. So, jumping down to the next paragraph of where I was, in the game's conceptual stage, the developers made it clear that the title would not necessarily be Final Fantasy IX, as its break from the realism of Final Fantasy VII and VIII may have alienated audiences. This idea led fans to speculate that it would be a Gaiden, quote unquote, a side story to the main series. By late 99, however, Square had confirmed that the game would indeed be titled Final Fantasy IX and by early 2000 they had almost finished the game. The developers made several adjustments to the game, which such as changing the ending 7 times. Director Hiroyuki Ito had designed the battle system, which doesn't surprise me, because as much as the battle system has changed over the years, it's also stayed very much the same. Anyways, that was a short paragraph, so I'll continue if you don't mind.
Go for it.
The game's developers sought to make the game's environment more fantasy-oriented. This is where you picked up earlier than its predecessors by reintroducing a medieval setting in the game world. Steam technology is just beginning to become widely available. The population relies on hydropower or wind power for energy sources, but sometimes harness mist or steam to drive more advanced engines.
I wonder if they had such a thing as mist punk.
I know, right? Norse and Northern European mythology also inspired the game's setting. According to Ito, the development team is attracted to European history and mythology because of its depth and its drama. The game's art director was Hideo Minaba, while the characters were designed by Shuko Murase and Toshiyuki Itahana. I'm getting better at this. Recurring artist Yoshitaka Amano created promotional concept art of the characters and world and designed the logo. The main Final Fantasy IX website says the development of the game's world serves as a culmination of the series by blending the successful elements of the past, such as the return to the fantasy roots, with newer elements To accomplish this and satisfy fans who had become used to the realistic designs of Final Fantasy VIII, the designers stressed creating characters with whom the player could easily relate. The characters had a comic-like look as a result. In addition, the Dark Crystal was used as inspiration for the design of the world and characters.
Yeah, I was thinking as I was watching an early cinematic that this looked more cartoonish in art form than 10 and even 8 and 9, or 7 and 8 rather. So I was looking at it like it was with a critical eye, like it was just they hadn't reached the level of realism that you had in 10, and then I went, well, wait, that doesn't apply because you had 7 and 8, which sort of had realism. I mean, the polygons in 7 were a little painful to look at times, but the cinematics still looked okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the cinematic, the polygons for 7 kind of made you wonder if that's where they got the idea for the Cybertruck.
Okay, so
Suggested that the protagonist Zidane should be flirtatious towards women.
And that he was.
well, yeah, he was a daring rogue. You can't have a daring rogue who isn't into the ladies.
Ladies.
Ladies, please. I must be going. Hello, Mary Kitty.
Oh, so Mariner Kitty decided to wake up, I see.
Yep. No, she actually got a bath yesterday.
No.
Because I was noticing she was getting a little smelly, so she got dunked and soaped and toweled. Whoop! Hydrate from turn death. Hydration. Okay.
Oh, of course.
So
my wife has a phone call. I apologize.
I will read on the music of Final Fantasy IX, since that's a whole section in here. A whole 2 paragraphs. Final Fantasy IX is the last Final Fantasy game with music composed exclusively by Nobuo Uematsu. It was his most prolific score, as the original soundtrack has 110 tracks. Whoa!
Oh, jeez.
And an additional soundtrack was released with 42 more. Years after its release, Uematsu has stated that both the score and the game itself are his favorite of all his projects. Much of the music revolves around the themes of J-pop ballad Melodies of Life, composed by Uematsu and performed by Emiko Shiratori. The song is sung in Japanese for the game's Japanese release and in English for the game's North American and European releases. Yeah.
So, according to this, Uematsu, this is related to that section that you're talking about there. Just to add context, you said that 110 pieces, featured in the game. Uematsu spent a year composing and producing around 160 pieces of music, with 140 of them appearing in the game.
Boy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next part I have is releases. I have to go back up to the top because the PlayStation and PlayStation Network releases are not mentioned in that part, even though they should be. They're referenced, but they're not actually elaborated upon. So, re-released digitally PlayStation Network as a PS1 classic title, compatible with PlayStation Portable, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation Vita. High Definition Remaster was released in 2016 for iOS, Android, Microsoft Windows via Steam, before being ported in 2017 for PlayStation 4, and in 2019 for Windows 10, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. And then...
Wow, this cutscene's actually really well done, considering the age of the game.
Yes.
Yeah, no joke.
Darn, I missed it. I was reading, or I was scrolling rather. I can watch this back at my own time later on. Let's see.
I'm sure. Here, I'll jump into the reception since we got about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes left here.
Okay.
The reception is a really lengthy section here, so we'll see how much we get through.
Okay.
Final Fantasy IX sold over 2.65 million copies in Japan by the end of 2000, making it the second highest selling game of the year in the region. Although it was a top seller in Japan and America, Final Fantasy IX did not sell as many copies as 7 or 8 in either. In 2001, the game received a gold certification from Verband whatever, Germany, for sales of at least 100,000 units across Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. The original PlayStation version sold over 5.5 million copies by March of 2016. Final Fantasy IX was released to critical acclaim both in Japan and abroad. It achieved a 94 out of 100 score on the review aggregator for Metacritic, making it their highest scoring Final Fantasy game. The game was voted the 24th best game of all time by readers in the magazine Famitsu, which is the legendary gaming magazine in Japan. Little addendum there for you all. Francesca Reyes of Next Generation called it an imaginative return to the roots of Final Fantasy as a series that hits the RPG market dead on. Okay, cool. I don't know who Francesca Reyes is. The critics generally praised the title's gameplay and combat system. GameSpot approved of the simple learning curve and the ability system, as it is not as complex as 7 or 8. Each of the characters possess unique abilities, which prevents one character from overpowering the others. GameSpot describes the battle system as having a tactical nature and notes that the expanded party allows for more interaction between players and enemies. Nevertheless, IGN disliked the lengthy combat pace and the repeated battles, describing it as aggravating. This is why you are failing, IGN, because you out of touch. RPG Fan felt the trance system was ineffective because the meter buildup was slow and unpredictable, with characters trancing just before the enemy dies. I can see that, but again, has anybody ever seen or heard anything from RPG Fan in the last few years?
Well, remember
Who's
the
RPG fan?
remember context. They're talking about a game and comparing it to other games at the time it was released, not now.
I understand, but I'm making a joke at how all of them are failing right now.
Oh, okay.
As stated, who's RPG fan?
Yeah.
RPG who dis?
Yeah, I don't think RPG Fan has been a thing in quite a few years. I apologize, Mojo, for having not seen your replies earlier, saying yes, you can, and you can absolutely have one that is all about missions. Care to refresh us on that?
Because yeah, I've completely lost context for those replies.
Yeah. The princess went from running from Zidane to jumping in with Zidane.
Giggity.
Yeah. I've never even heard of RPG Fan. Steiner. I remember reading a little bit about Steiner. Anyways. The characters and graphics also received positive reviews, although IGN felt that the characters were similar to those in other Final Fantasy games. The characters were still engaging and sympathetic. GameSpot found the characters amusing and full of humor. I find them kind of funny too, actually. IGN also noted that even the active time event system helps expand the player's understanding of the other characters' personalities as they grapple with many ideas and emotions. RPG fan enjoyed the detailed animation and design of the semi-deformed graphical style. They also praised the pre-rendered backgrounds, noting that the careful attention given to the artwork and movement in animations and character interactivity. They commended the cutscenes for being emotionally compelling and highlighted the seamless transition between cutscenes and in-game graphics. The music also received praise with Electronic Gaming Monthly, man, that's a callback, let me tell you, listing it the best soundtrack on their list of top 5 original soundtracks. While GamePro, another callback right there, praised the audio for evoking emotions throughout the story from battles to heartbreak to comedy.
I just
Anybody else
noticed
want to talk
Zidane has
about
a tile.
it? Well, he was the one that I was saying that I thought it was strange with the main character with a tail. Zidane is, I think he was called a demi-human slash human with a tail.
He's a demi-human.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Mojo says that that her replies had to do with you can't have a protagonist without them being all about the ladies. And then Tierdeath, were you citing Squall and Cloud as other demonstrations of this fact?
I was. She said yes, you can. I was throwing Cloud as the. Yeah, he's not all about the ladies, and then of course all
counterpoints.
about the missions. Squall, Leonhardt.
I would counter with while they might not have been all about the ladies, I would counter that.
At least in 7, the ladies were all about Cloud.
Yeah, that's also true. The ladies were all about Cloud in 7. However, Cloud wasn't a roguish type character. Now, Squall, he was roguish. And I do recall that he was kind of a little bit of a ladies' man at first.
Another counterpoint would be Titus in Final Fantasy X. He only had one lady after him.
Fair.
And he was oblivious the entire time too.
Yeah.
Also true. But go ahead, pick up from there.
Do I have something? Let's see. We could talk about illusions. There's an illusion section on the fandom page. Final Fantasy. We've already kind of talked about this. Final Fantasy IX was intended in many ways to be a salute to the series' history, and as such is filled with allusions to previous games. One of the most apparent is the similarity of the character Vivi to the Black Mage from the original Final Fantasy. I don't think we've seen her on camera yet. See, despite the overall high quality of the translation, care was not taken to ensure all of the various names and references matched to those used in the previous English language releases. Thus, many of the references with which the game abounds are missed by the non-Japanese audience. Examples are listed in the main article. Mojo says in 8, Squall wasn't chasing anyone. It was Chicky Poo that was chasing him ultra hard, and Quistis, his instructor, was sitting on him too. Ooh. Rinoa. Okay, that was Chicky Poo's name.
Oh, Rinoa.
But that's the end of my fandom page.
Yeah, if I go any further on for this reception, I might lose my mind. That was a little too lengthy to just be reading from.
Yeah. Yes. Eventually.
Legacy. This is a short section, and I think this is perfect for our little 10 minutes remaining. Final Fantasy IX was voted the fourth best Final Fantasy game in a poll by Japan's National Broadcasting Organization, NHK. IGN named it the 14th best game on the original PlayStation, calling it an incredible way to close out the Final Fantasy series' first 9 games, and complimented its reverence for those titles. Rock Paper Shotgun names their title fourth best, or named the title their fourth best Final Fantasy game available on PC, praising the cast and its eclectic group of heroes. Though overshadowed during its initial release by the other Final Fantasy titles, the game had been recognized for its mature themes, including mortality, handling death, and is considered a JRPG masterpiece. The music has also been called one of Uematsu's greatest scores. The game has inspired a number of mods, such as Maguri Mod, which is an unofficial remaster project developed by fans, which saw its original release in 2018. In 2015, Overclocked Remix released a 4-disc collection called Worlds Apart with 120 songs to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the game's release. In June 2021, Cybergroup Studios and Square Enix announced plans to develop an animated television series based on Final Fantasy IX. Huh.
I saw that. I skipped over it.
I wonder if that ever came to fruition, and now I'm curious.
Considering that it was back in 2020 or 2021, hard to say, because it hasn't been long enough that the project could have been completed yet. Counterpoint is it hasn't been long enough for any news of its failure to have been announced yet. So it's either lost production or it's still underway.
I'm gonna find out. So I am curious. Animationmagazine.net. June 21. Blah 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 blah. I'm actually looking this up because I'm curious.
Oh, we get to know.
A year ago. That's a Reddit post. I don't know if that's reliable.
Probably not.
January of 24. Looks like the Final Fantasy IX animated series is still alive. The president of Cybergroups, yada yada, in October of 23. That's on X. June of 24. Nope, that didn't tell me anything. It looks like it's still out there in the ether somewhere. From everything I'm seeing, but everything's dating back to 24.
Yeah.
Screen Rant in June of 24 says that there's a remake on the horizon and the show might be coming out spring of this year.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The animated. No, that was at 22. Oh, fucking thanks, IGN, for failing. So apparently there's a Final Fantasy IX animated series in the works, and I'm seeing indication that it's looking like spring of this year that it should be released. That was announced back in 21, so take that with a grain of salt, folks. On that note, we have 5 minutes remaining there.
Yeah, time for shameless plugs aplenty.
Ha.
So be sure to tune in tomorrow for my resuming playthrough of Final Fantasy VII OG Steam version. And then Thursday night I will be playing again said game on Lag and Outs channel at 7:30 Eastern Time. So 5 o'clock tomorrow, 7:30 Thursday, and then come back on Friday to watch Hiro, Soda Pop, and Chieftain as Chieftain gives his report on the inauguration. Hopefully, maybe, possibly.
I did not hear that it went the greatest, but there's reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you're interested in some writings of mine and the Mariners, you are welcome to check out all of our articles on lagginout.com.
I just realized a couple days ago that we're a couple weeks behind. I know I can put my review on the website for Indiana Jones, but we didn't do anything last week.
No, we didn't, and I suppose we could start that back up because it was the first show of the year last week. So
yeah, I mean it takes a little bit to get back into the swing after a multi-week holiday venture.
I agree. I agree very much so. And also, for those of you who are not looking for entertainment stuff, stay tuned for some fancy website development from the Mariner for yours truly.
I thought that was top secret. Whatever. Anyways, also be sure to check out Tearing Death on his mini places. And do we have that stream link note or that wasn't a Linktree? It was like Linktree though. Do we still have that, Mojo? There we go. Cool. And let's see, is there any other shameless plugs? No, I don't think so. So I think we can wrap it up there. Yep. So until next time, people, enjoy Final Fantasy, whichever game you be playing. Fair winds and fun gaming. Say goodnight, Hiro.
Good night, Hiro.
Say goodnight to Tearing Death.
Good night to Tearing Death.
Perfect. And fair winds and fun gaming. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, guys.